Well, hello there. I'm out again on a Saturday, hitting the trails and seeing what we see. Today I've decided to do another personal challenge hike. Gonna do another long distance one out at the Kennesaw Mountain area. Might vary up the route from what I did last time I tried a big distance one out here. See if we can see something a little different, but still trying to get probably 17 plus miles, maybe close to 18. We'll see if we can get even further than that if the time permits. But I'm gonna try and do the video, since we've covered this area on video before, maybe do something along the lines of every mile or so, check in, give a quick 30-second update on how I'm doing, and continue on. So might be a little different this time. We'll see how it works out. But getting started now, and we'll check in along the way. All right, I'm about 1 mile in on the trek so far. Had to hike a little bit just to get to the start of the trail, since the parking by the visitor center was full. So I had to go to the overflow parking, and so it was about a half-mile hike just to get back over to where I had planned to start, which, you know, since I'm going for distance, was not a bad thing. But it means 1 mile in and I'm only about halfway up the first ascent. So doing good, and we'll check in later. Well, I'm 2 miles in, over the main peak, down into the gap between Kennesaw Mountain and Little Kennesaw Mountain, and getting ready to start my ascent up the smaller peak. Past now the majority of the crowds, which it has been very heavily trafficked out here on a beautiful Saturday afternoon, and looking forward to getting to a little bit more isolated trekking. So just checking in, and we're continuing on. About 3 miles in, I'm pretty much past the rock scramble on the backside of Little Kennesaw Mountain, in the middle of my descent down that peak. And these 3 miles I've gotten in just under an hour and a half, but they've probably been the toughest 3 miles of the trek today, so we'll see how the pace adjusts on the remaining distance. It's kind of warm and muggy out here today. Lots of people out, as I said, even on this side. So we'll see how traffic is as we continue on. I'm 4 miles in. I've crossed the road into another section of the park, which is a lot more wooded and hilly as opposed to mountainous, and we'll see how this is traffic wise, trail condition wise, and just general hike wise. Still going strong with the legs. I hit about a 25-minute mile on that last one, so feeling good with my pace, hoping to still pick it up a little bit as I get into some of the flatter terrain. Continuing strong and moving on. Well, we are continuing on, 5 miles in, hitting some of the warmer temperatures now. It's starting to warm up quite a bit as we're past the 12 o'clock hour, actually getting into, after 1 o'clock now. So we're moving into the the heat of the afternoon, and starting to feel it a little bit, but still moving on good on some of the flatter stretches of trail now, and got a little bit to go before I connect up with the Cold Farm Loop section, and let's see if we can keep things a little calmer than the electrifying experience I had last time I was on that trail section. But for now, just checking in and moving on. I just finished mile 6. Going along pretty good now, and you know, I'm just over 2 hours in on the hike. It's 1:30 now, so I've got 5 hours to finish this thing up before I have to be back to the car before the parking lot closes. So I think I'm on good pace for getting the distance in that I want, and I'm feeling pretty good about things right now. So I'm probably gonna find a spot here during this next stretch to sit down, take a break, get a little snack, get some water, and then I'll continue on. But for now, one foot in front of the other. Mile 7 done. Moving on after a break. So refreshed and recharged a little bit. Legs feeling good. I'm gonna try and kick up the pace a notch and see if we can't get some good distance in a short time. For now, I am officially on the Cold Farm Loop, and we'll try and knock this section out as quick as we can. Moving on. Well, done with mile 8. I've entered a little bit of a cooler, more shaded section of the trail, which is a pleasant reprieve from some of the heat and humidity that I had on the last couple of sections. So enjoying that, trying to use that to my advantage to pick up the pace again, and moving on. Should be getting close to the southern end where I'll make the loop back towards the north, and we'll see what we have to report in the next mile. Well, I'm done with mile 9. I hear the road traffic, so I must be just about to the turnaround point, or not so much turnaround, but turn northward point that I mentioned last time. So if I'm gonna hit the 18 miles that I did last time, I'm halfway through. If I am able to extend it a little beyond that, then I'm not quite halfway through, obviously, because math works that way. So still feeling pretty good right now. It is once again feeling warm and sticky out here, and I'm experiencing the noticeable effects of that. But legs are still moving well, still strong, and I'm going to carry on and continue on. Ten miles done. Continuing on, fighting the heat, but still continuing to progress. Still feeling good. Well, 11 miles down. Just Had a pleasant stretch of the trail where I was hiking alongside a lady who is out here with her full kit, and she is training to do the Camino here later this year. And best of luck to her as she prepares for that adventure. Anyway, I'm going to continue on, getting closer back to the northern trailhead on the Kolb farm loop before I start the stretch back to Cheatham Hill up to the Kennesaw Mountain area proper. Continuing on. Well, 12 miles completed. 2/3 of the way if we are hitting the 18-mile mark, and maybe a little less than that if we're stretching it. We'll see what time allows for. I've got basically about 3 hours left, or no, 2.5 hours to go until the parking lot closes. So we'll have to see what we can stretch out here. Gonna have to pick up the pace, but I'm north of the Kolb Farm Loop now, moving on to the Cheatham Hill area, headed back towards the mountain. Mile 13 is complete, and I'm grateful to be back in a more shaded section of the trail. The last mile and a half or so was pretty exposed and sunny, and I was feeling that. But back to a little bit more comfort, and we're continuing on. Well, 14 miles down. Get a little stretch here where I get to walk alongside a creek. I'm going to enjoy that for this next little bit, and we will move on to see what this mile holds. Well, mile 15 is wrapped up. I think I'm going to designate that squirrel mile. Had more squirrel activity going on around me than I had the entire rest of the trek today. They must love that section of woods. Anyway, continuing on, I am now into a section of trail that I've not done out here before, looping around the mountain on the side opposite the one I normally do, or at least I will be as I progress along this one. So we'll see what this holds for me. Moving on. Mile 16 is done. I've had a good stretch walking alongside of this open meadow. It's been a nice change of pace, and it's letting a little bit of breeze get to me, so I'm enjoying that. One nice thing also, when I did the 18-mile run here back in January, when I hit the 16-mile mark, my legs said ow and told me they didn't know what I was doing, and I still had 2 miles to go then. This time, legs are still feeling pretty good. They're tired, they're not hurting, and they feel like they still got enough energy to finish this thing out. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's mile 17, and I need to pay attention where I'm going with these rocks in the path. But Yeah, past the sign a little ways back. Gives me leave to believe the visitor center's somewhere between a mile and a half from here. And I've got another half mile from there back to the car. So yeah, it's looking more and more like it's going to be closer, somewhere between 19 and 20 miles this time around instead of the 18 I did last time. So still feeling strong and capable of finishing this. We'll see how it goes. Well, that's 18 miles. Everything I do from here on out is just extending my furthest hike ever. So we'll see how it goes. I think I've got just over a mile to go, maybe right around that, to get back to the car. On the last approach back to the visitor center, and then there's the half mile back to the car from there. So finish this strong and wrap it up. Well, I'm with the inside of the parking lot, so I'm going to go ahead and close it out. Didn't quite get to 19 miles, but I'm over 18 and a half, and I'm feeling pretty good about this. Thanks for coming along with me today. It's been a heck of a journey, and we will see you on the next trail.